Well, hello everyone. Bill here for Bill's Wargame World, and I am in Jim Shaw's secret lair in Gettysburg, the painting table. And I was told Jim has a helper. Oh my gosh, it's none other than Goober the Traveling Bear. And he is wearing his Player's Aid shirt today. All right, so the Player's Aid blog today did a big write-up on Weiss Fork. Now, here we have Mr. Jim Shaw. Hello, Jim.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Well, Jim, thank you for letting me stop in and make another video. This is going to help Toys for Tots.
Excellent choice, William.
And we'll be giving that checkout. So your last video is at like 3,800 views.
Yes, sir.
So you painted a lot of figures for me. Would you mind showing me what you painted and how you did it?
I would not. Well, at Garage, Bill gave me many figures. First one, he said we've got the cannons, and I believe these are 1890s figures. Is that correct, Will?
Yes,
cannons,
yes.
So I don't know if you can get it close. You're going to put it together. I'm not.
Okay.
And they're all painted. I think we have the machine guns in there, and it looks like a Chinese dragon cannon.
Yes. We got that at the flea market.
So I don't know how you're going to mount it, but there it is.
All right.
So that's the one box William gave me. The next box.
Now, what do we have in here, Jim?
We have more French for his skirmishes.
Okay.
So we have a whole box of French.
They're phenomenal.
They've all been painted. I looked up different uniforms, basically a brown. So I went with what I had from before for Bill. It's amazing what you get. You read 3 different articles, 3 different uniforms. Everybody tells you what color, and it ends up brown or khaki. So.
All right. Well, they look fantastic.
These were printed by Josh on 3D printer, and they're great figures. You're going to see more figures that William has given me to paint.
What do we have in this box?
And here we have the Fallschirmjägers that William wanted me to paint.
Now, are these the 3D printed figures?
These are the 3D printers from Mr. Josh Wardlaw.
All right, let me get a close-up view.
How do you want to do it? Like that?
Yeah, that's perfect. And these are 3D printed.
Yes, sir.
And they're ready to hit Ibn Amel.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that correct, Jim?
Yes, you did. Nice little fort outside of Leiden, Belgium. I really like these figures, and again, I looked up their uniforms. I got 5, 7 different answers, so I went with what I thought. I did a little bit of P-spot on them. They should account themselves quite wonderfully. Now here we have umpteen Germans, World War II.
Wow.
So we've got all those done. There are about 35 of those. They weren't that bad.
They're awesome. Thank you, Jim.
Yep, so we put them back in the box. They've all been washed, Bill, with a 50-50.
Okay.
Wax. And then we have, I believe...
Man, you were busy. And this was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I finished these in 10 days. All these figures. So that's your Belgians.
Okay.
Basically the same uniform as the French, except for the helmet and the medals on the helmet. It's almost exactly the same.
Okay.
A little bit of different equipment, but you could, if you want to use another one, Belgian for French, French for Belgians, nobody's going to say anything.
All right, especially in Bill's basement.
That's right, because Bill's basement, everything goes, or nothing goes. And these are your colonials. You didn't give me much information, so you've got a bunch of blue uniforms with some nice khaki pants.
All right.
I think there's 6 figures of the same. Make it right. And then you've got some Indians.
Okay.
The indigenous tribes, whoever you want them to be. And then there's some women in there. Got that. And then your last bag.
I think those are old Marx figures.
These?
Though the other ones.
Those are, yes. You said they're old Marx. I think there's 1 or 2 women. There's 2 women in there. And here you just gave me a little hodgepodge of things. So they're painted up. I guess you could. Oh, here's the women. Are these the women?
Yes.
Yes. So this is the old Marx.
All right.
You could probably use those for anything. Alamo.
Yeah.
Up into the 1860s.
Yeah. They look great.
So, yep. So that's what I got done for you. Now I see there's a whole box of what? 175 millimeter Zulus.
There is some 60 millimeter Zulus that James Curtis donated to me for the Zulu game, and also there is some really old Marx figures.
I saw that. And there's an ugly color Marx figure in there.
Yeah, and some of those figures I haven't seen in years.
Yes, they are very old, and they stand the test of time. Unlike some airfix, will just dry rot after a while and break apart. So that's good.
All right, well, I'm going to pause the camera and have you go over to the painting table, and I have some questions for you from the last video.
Okay.
Well, Jim, after your last video, I had several questions, the three that I'm going to ask you. The first one is I had several people ask that their paintbrushes go bad relatively quickly, and best place to buy them, and how do you keep them so the hair stays good?
Oh, that's a question for the ages. Most brushes, there's really cheap brushes and there's great brushes. The better care you take of them, the better off you're going to be. I buy brushes from Hobby Lobby, and they're buy one get one. Your most important factor is you don't want to get paint up in this area, which I forget it's called. But if you get paint in here, that means the brush hairs are going to splay out.
Okay.
So make sure that you try not to get the paint in there. And the best thing I use is to clean my brushes right now is hand sanitizer.
All right. Just regular hand
Yep.
sanitizer from the COVID world.
Yes, sir. I clean the brushes with hot, warm water with a little bit of soap in them. Clean them off good. Make sure there's no paint left in them on a piece of paper towel, and then I wipe them off with this. And that's worked very well for me so far. I've reconditioned a few brushes. Some will never be the same again, as you can see, but they're good for bigger items.
Okay.
And glue.
I know one person was amazed how many brushes you have in that one drawer
Oh, I have
alone.
a few, and I have a few here, and I have a
And
few there,
so,
and I have a few there.
where are you buying these? Hobby
Hobby
Lobby?
Lobby, and mainly that's it. Michael's sometimes, but they're pretty expensive. And if we take care of them, they're going to last you a long time.
All right. Are you ready for the next
Sure
question?
can.
All right. I had a person that said their paints dry out at times,
Okay.
even though they think they seal them good. Um, how or why does that happen?
Well, air gets in them for the main thing, and that's why they dry off. Or the top, these pot paints. Sometimes the top's not on level. We have this little thing back here. I cut it off, so I make sure I can snap it. And when you hear a snap, it snaps.
Oh, you cut that off.
I cut that off. And a lot of
Let me get
people,
a close up
sure.
of that. All right.
So a lot of people, when they do that, for me, a lot of these just close, and you can't get your brush in there. I put a little piece of the cover that comes over the brushes, and I slide it through the back, and that keeps the top open. These should not dry up as easy as any other paints, because these should be self-sealing when you snap the top.
Okay, but you gotta make sure it snaps.
Right. And for these paints, I flip them upside down. That way, no air is in the top seal.
Okay.
So if you do this, and you don't clean that right, and you don't clean it off, that little hole plugs up. So if my paints are having problems, I just flip them upside down and leave them there.
Okay. Well, that was quite amazing. So, what's our third question, Jim?
What's our third question?
Our third question. Go ahead.
Our third question is, what kind of paints do we buy and who
Yes.
stacks up? I started off with testers, and when somebody else came around that was water-based, I went right to them because I hate buying the turpentine and cleaning the brushes, which destroyed your brushes. I've used the craft paint. I've used the Walmart paints. I've used the 99-cent bottles from everywhere. They work for me for big items. I'm doing a fort or a tank or something on the really big side. That's what they're good for me. I like the Army Painter. I like Duncan Road's two-tone paints, and I just got, Bill, if you can show the picture right there, I just got myself for my birthday that box of paints down there.
Okay.
The Monument paints. Army Painter's good. Vallejo's good. If you're actually looking for something, you need to start practicing with the paints. Just buy one. I know they're expensive, but don't buy a whole lot of them until you're satisfied with them. I tried one Duncan two-tone. I loved it, and I got more. So now I'm going to try the Monument paints. I mean, I've got quite a few paints in here that's not going to dry up because I make sure I shake them up every once in a while. You get the best paint for what you want to use it for. So if you're going to make a big item and you're going to paint it, get the bigger ones for 99 cents because they'll never hold up. These will not do Fort William Henry like Bill has. You would need 20 of these to do everything he's got. So it's like the right person for the right job, the right paint for the right job.
All right. And I get this question constantly. Because I use 54 millimeter plastic figures, I get questions constantly about keeping the paint on. What do you do best to keep the paint on there? So I figured you are a paint expert. I use the Krylon quite often for the main color, but can you talk about you know how to start off with painting plastic 54 without the paint coming off?
Okay, make sure you wash them in warm soapy water and let them dry, even if you have to wipe them off. You can spray paint them, like Bill says. You can mix a wash of Elmer's glue and water, and it's clear, and you do it in nice, easy strokes and light. You don't have to thick it on there. Now to give you a nice coat. And otherwise, can't remember the name of it. I don't see it. It's a it's a little plastic tub and it's like a glue and you can paint that on your figures. It's yellow. I don't remember the name of it. Anything so that paint will be supported on there is the best thing. I like to use gray paint. Gray paint is my base coat. It's the best thing so far.
And then once the figure is completed on the fancy table, what do you do afterwards?
Well, if you're a gloss person or a matte person, you can certainly buy the gloss and the matte coats and spray it. I use a 50-50 mixture of wax and water and gloss wax and a little bit of black paint and mix it up, and then I put it on the figure. That seals it up, and then you put a spray paint of satin or matte finish, whatever you like, from Army Painter or Lowe's or Home Depot. You can buy it.
Wow. Well, is there anything more you'd like to talk to my viewers about with the world of painting figures?
Like I said the last time in the video, try a little bit of it. If it works for you, go for it. If it doesn't work for you, try something else. Figures are forgiving because you can paint them over and over and over again.
So, I noticed you were talking about different books and people's advice on painting figures or different uniforms. Does that get confusing?
Yes, it does. It gets very confusing. I looked up the uniforms for the peacoat for the German Fallschirmjägers, and I had 7 different answers. It basically came down to the blue for the German, and then they did different colors of khaki for the German uniform for the top of the P-dot uniform. So I just went with what I remember, and I just tried it. If Bill doesn't like it, he can repaint it.
Oh, they look fantastic. So, Fallen is next week. Will you be at Fallen?
I will not. I will be on vacation till Friday night in Edisto. So if I get back in time, I'm going to be there. If not, I'll zip over Sunday.
Well, Goober the Traveling Bear and I will be there with Fort William Henry.
Yes.
And Josh 3D printed that. You painted a lot of the figures for it.
I did.
And it's a huge fort and 3D printed, 20 feet long.
It's huge.
It's huge. And also 6:45 p.m. Saturday, Goober will be and I will be handing the check for the YouTube money for Toys for Tots, and it gets matched by Sean Reese.
Nice.
And Jim, I hope in this video here will help raise money because the account gets closed by YouTube on Thursday.
Oh, wow. Good.
All right. Anything else?
Nope. Live long and prosper, everyone. Just be safe out there.
All right. And everyone stay safe, be kind, be courteous, and see you at Fallen next week.
Thank you.